Alright, response video to, I got a few responses on the last video, so I'll respond to them, and throw in some extra crap. So I guess I'll deal with Mel's basket case first, who you shouldn't need to be this paranoid. I'm not going to block you, but, yeah, sometimes, I just don't like getting a conversation with you because I don't feel that I have the latitude to get as angry at you as I'd like to about some of the things you say. So anyway, I just think it's rather foolish to consider a $700 billion bill and say you're for it because there's a little attachment to it that probably would be passed in the next Senate anyway. Regarding mental health issues, which I agree with you, there should be some that need to be addressed, but it becomes a little bit of a complex issue because, unlike regular doctors, psychiatrists are expensive. They get $400 or $600 an hour. So it is a problem, but it's hard to create parity for that circumstance just because they are very expensive medicine. But regardless, it's not about the merits of that attachment. It's about the merits of a $700 billion bailout. And I was just reading a statistic where, this year, auto sales American auto sales have fallen below the $1 million mark, the first time in like 20 years or whatever. And, you think about $700 billion, well, that's, about 70 million cars. We could build 70 million cars with that money. All right, that's how big a pile of money this is we're talking about. Okay, and then you said something about your retirement 401k. Well, look, there's this thing called the bond market. There's all kinds of different kinds of investments, and some are really safe and secure, and you get less money, and then some are risky. All right, and why should they, this whole idea that we have to artificially now, because there's a few middle class people that have some money invested in the stock market, that all of a sudden now we have to make sure the stock market never goes down. It's idiotic. The whole reason why you make that extra money in the stock market is because of the risk. You can't take the risk out of that game. And this whole idea, I'd like to get into this subject because people have this perception that somehow capital deserves to make a profit. That there should be, we're all entitled to just make money from money. And it's just bullshit. It's an idiotic psychology. That's the whole thing that's wrong with capitalism, is they think capital is productive. No, human beings create productivity. All right, money doesn't do that. Human beings do that. All right, when you take a portion of their productivity and hand it to somebody and say, you now own this portion of productivity, and now for the rest of your life you can just glean profit off that piece of productivity, that is not productive. It's much more productive to invest that productivity, which you've gained from somebody's labor. You either give it to the person that did the labor, or you invest it in creating more productivity. But you don't give it to people for sitting on their ass and having money in the bank. All right, that's bullshit. This whole idea of investment, it's just it's an insane and insidious and stupid way of looking at the world. Because as soon as you start doing that, as soon as you start making capital as a source of gleaning profit, the only way it can glean that profit is it has to steal productivity from a worker. It can't do it any other way. All right, and if it doesn't do that, then it's an completely artificial profit. All right, and the system will balance out. It will crash eventually. That's what happened in 1929, and it's going to happen again. Because the system has, for decades, people have been able to make pretty secure money in the stock market. It'd be little dips here, little dips there, little dips, but they've still been doing better than inflation in that stock market. And something has to account for that. That's called a bubble. Just like in the real estate and everything else, it's artificial. It's a fake high. And somehow it has to be paid for. So now when it's going to crash, all you people are saying we have to stop it from crashing. Well, that's bullshit. You can't do it. You can't stop it from crashing. And second, because the money you're pulling out, again, is stolen productivity. That $700 billion is more stolen productivity. You can't do it. All right, so the price is going to have to be paid, and the only decision we as individuals have to make is who's going to pay the price. Are the 1% who own as much as 90% of the population, are they going to pay for it, or are the 90% going to pay for it? And that's the decision to make. Are the rich bastards going to get away with it again with sucking more of our blood in this circumstance? Is it going to be more of a fire sale again? Okay, all they do is change hands. That's all that's happening here. It's going to redefine who's super rich, and that's all that's going to be done here. We're going to take the money and that they've already stolen from the middle class productivity, the wealth they've gleaned, they've stolen out of that productivity pot, and they're going to just switch parties. Who gets more of it? That's all they're going to do, and it's bullshit. And that's why this bill is bullshit. It addresses nothing. But worrying about your 401k, that's not the nation's responsibility to tell you that you should have your money in a safer place than stock investments. I mean, really. All right, now to the $250 deposit, the $250,000 deposit insurance, another canard, another pile of crap. If this was something we needed, why wasn't it a separate bill? Why wasn't it a bill 2 years ago, or 5 years ago, or 10 years ago? Because it wasn't needed. And why now, especially, why would you put a bill, why would you put something like in a you're going to spend $700 billion to prop up the banking industry, and you need to create more insurance? I thought the $700 billion was supposed to make the banks solvent. Why would you even need insurance if the banks are so motherfucking solvent? If they've gotten $700 billion flushed into them, why the fuck aren't they solvent? I mean, so how does that make any sense? How do you rationalize putting that higher insurance into this bill when this bill is supposed to be saving the banks? And the only rationale is because the super rich know the system's going to crash, and this is their protection, okay? Because now they can insure the super rich, because the super rich have a real problem. When you have so much money, you can't put it in there's not enough banks to put $100,000 in each one of them. So now they can double plus. Okay, how much money they can protect. But this has nothing to do with payrolls. It has nothing to do with anything rational or reasonable. If it did, it would have been a bill that was already in the Senate. It would have been a proposal already on the table, and it hasn't been on the table because no business needed this. I mean, it's just a canard. It's a lie. It's preposterous nonsense. All right, what else is there? Yeah, well, I guess that covers the basics of her. She says she trusts Obama and she trusts Clinton. Well, Obama's got what, $4 million? Clinton's got $80 million. So if that's where you're going to put your trust in people that have millions of dollars that they're attempting to protect, I think you're just being foolish. So that's as far as I'll take it. All right, on to Armando 4020901 or whatever the hell it is. So he's making this argument again about instant runoff voting. He doesn't see the vision of it. He really doesn't, because he's a political animal. He's part of the policy. He's a policy hawk for the Democratic Party. I mean, he's glued to that party. But this is how it would work, Armand. If I got to vote my choice, okay, I could vote for Ralph Nader under instant runoff voting, and that would send a message. And we know that Ralph Nader wouldn't have just 3 million votes if there was instant runoff voting. He'd have 9 million or something. And there's a real possibility, if he toned down his rhetoric a little, that he could actually get more votes than the Democratic candidate. That's how powerful this could be. It could take a minority candidate like him, somebody who is really a progressive, far left, and it makes him a realistic prospect to take on the Democratic Party. And it could happen if there was instant runoff voting, because there's enough people pissed off at the Democrats for enough fucking reasons to say, okay, although Ralph Nader isn't my perfect choice, he's a little bit loose cannon-ish, yeah, I'll vote for him because I'm pissed off at that damn party. And so it not only sends a clear message, it not only gives people the power to say, fuck you to the existing party, but it provides a real opportunity for a third-party candidate, even a minority interest candidate, to actually win. And that's the truth of the matter. They can get more votes than a Democrat, take all the rest of the party votes, because those people who would vote their second choice would have been Ralph Nader. And if they don't vote a second choice, then they lose out altogether. So that's why Ralph Nader can actually steal the election from the Democrats. And they deserve it. It'd be a well-deserved theft. and that's just the surface of it. That's just the beginnings of the power and the change it could make to the system, because you would have actually the ability to vote for candidates that were more focused on specific issues. And so then when people voted for those candidates, there'd be a clear message to the party as exactly what they wanted. So there'd be no clouding it between, Ralph Nader's anti-corporate, he's anti-war, he's anti-this, he's anti-rich, he's anti a lot of things, he's anti too many things. And so his message gets turned to mud. Okay, because it's not a clear message, because you don't know how many million of his supporters are supporting what policies. And if we have a real clear free choice, the free ability to send a message with instant runoff voting, well, then we can vote for people that are specifically running on specific issues. And so the signal to the parties would be very, very clear. All right, so I don't know if there's anything else I have to get to on that, so let's just go on the general. A couple people just said something like, well, how can we make this happen? And I sort of explained it in the other video, but it's a little hard to explain. But there's a way. There's if we fight the system, and fuck, I'm just so way out of time.